Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Unexpectedly, at least for me, we got the Blade leaks today, the 4.3 beta. Now, don't ask me about gameplay or animations, that still isn't out yet, unfortunately. However, we have his kit, and there's a few interesting things to take away from here. Right. Now, to start us off, I will say another prediction come true. I originally predicted that Blade would just be Cypher 2.0 because given the info that we were given by leakers, it seemed really fucking similar. Someone who can both be on a follow-up team. However, in my opinion, the reason I put my stocks in this, I do think Acheron is going to get a Nova in this version. I don't know if it's in the next batch, but I'd say it's probably in the batch after the next batch, similar to a Firefly situation, because there's no way you buff Firefly and then you don't buff Acheron, considering they're pretty similar in terms of sales for them. In fact, Acheron has higher sales than Firefly, right? So with this being the case, I'd assume you'd obviously try to give Acheron some love the same way you did Firefly, and the easiest way to do this is to just make a new support who isn't only stuck to Acheron so their value is shit, but they have their main team on a new team, which is follow-up, similar to a Cypher situation. Now, unfortunately, there was no follow-up team in Amphoria, so Cypher didn't get that much value. However, this time it is completely different because Blade is in fact a Cypher 2.0 on steroids. Not only having a main team for follow-up, however, also being able to buff Acheron immensely, right? So, to start us off, let's get into his debuffs and amping for the team. Now, these are the most impressive debuffs for a base kit Nihility in the entirety of the game. In my opinion, this is to be expected. I already did a short stream and people were telling me that they think it's going to be nerfed. I don't. People need to understand that Welt now exists, Nova Welt. He's free on the Golden Token Shop. He's a standard character, and his E4 puts 30% res reduction on enemies. So even though Blade is definitely stronger than Welt, it's not by some astronomical amount. And to be honest, he needs to be this good for people to be like, yeah, I want to get this guy even if I still have Welt because he's that good. Instead, if they ended up nerfing his numbers currently and made them, let's say, 25-30% weaker, like a lot of people might have been saying out there, he would just not be pulled on, really, right? People just wouldn't pull it. So, without any more blue balling, on his ultimate for 2 turns, enemies will be inflicted by 30% defense reduction and 50% vulnerability. That's right, you did not hear that wrong. 30% defense reduction and 50% vulnerability. Incredibly strong debuffing, the strongest in the game once again. However, not only this, he has a bit of amping where he indiscriminately gives 50% damage bonus to the entire team. However, there's a second conditional part where if he's paired with another Nihility, he will buff ultimate damage bonus by 50%, and if he isn't paired with another Nihility, then he will buff follow-up damage bonus by 50%. So very clearly, even though his intended strongest team is definitely going to be this new follow-up one, they are going out of their way to make sure that he's a dual support for mainly Acheron, because Acheron mains, buckle your fucking seatbelts. I bet a lot of you have been waiting for a support like this, right? Blade is basically E2 Silverwolf on the base kit, but stronger. That's right. You didn't hear me wrong. He is stronger than Silverwolf's E2 in terms of the way his zone works. So the way his zone works is every time an ally attacks an enemy, they will be debuffed. So as you all know with the way Acheron works, every time an ally attacks, that'll be 1 point to Acheron's ultimate. However, not only this, Blade has Taunt in his kit, and every time he gets attacked, he will then also inflict debuffs more on enemies, giving Acheron more stacks. So, unlike Zhao Q's fucking measly cap of enemies moving like 4 or 5 times, and then he needs to wait until the next ultimate, Blade doesn't have this, and he has Silverwolf's E2 on steroids. Acheron's ult generation is now gonna be absolutely fucking zooming in comparison to what it was before. So I would like to say, even though there's no gameplays yet, I think Acheron has gotten her Dahlia, right? I don't know just how much of a difference this is going to make for Acheron clearing endgame. However, it seems really fucking good and very promising. So Acheron is no longer in the trenches, at least with current V1 Blade. Yes, things could change in the future. Do I think they're going to change all that much? Personally, no. However, it's looking quite promising now, right? So Acheron mains, rejoice, Blade is there to save you, and follow-up mains who are pulling for Ashvale, and maybe if Avon ends up being the follow-up DPS in the future, also rejoice, Blade is definitely going to be a strong part of this follow-up team and its performance. So he is a great character. Now, yes, he isn't part of a main push team. He isn't part of Himiko's team likely. He isn't part of the Elation teams. A lot of people are always going to have that bias and favoritism towards the main push teams in terms of what they use their pulls for. I understand that. However, nonetheless, he looks very promising, and at least currently even as a generalist support, he still looks really strong. And for those who absolutely love Blade, you don't care about anyone else, you feel like running him main DPS, there are no gameplays currently. However, going off of Ashvale, you'd likely be able to run this guy main DPS decently easily while running Ashvale as the sub DPS, right? So that's all. That's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys in future versions and future videos. Let me know what you guys think about Blade's kit. Do you think it's too busted? Do you think it's not enough? Or is it absolutely perfect? I personally think it's perfect, right? Have a great day. Have a great night. Peace out. So there's 40 seconds left on this video to hit the 8-minute mark. So yeah, I'm gonna be grinding on 2 accounts again. I don't know, man. Like, I know I just made a video talking about how I don't want to play on multiple accounts at once because it increases the rate at which I get gacha burnout. However, I have an E6 Phanon E2 Cyrene account. I recently pulled Ashvale on it, banking on Blade being important for it. And I mean, that is what happened. So my account is going to be skipping 4.2, and it's going to be getting Blade in 4.3. I'll likely be able to get Blade like E1 or even E1S1. It just seems like a no-brainer. There's no way I'm going to skip out on this guy. My Mono Rem account, I've already gone E0 S1 Silverwolf and E1 S1 Yao Guang. I'm just going to stay off of that account for probably a couple patches and mainly focus on this Phanon account now because I am excited for Blade. I'm more excited for Blade and his animations currently than I am literally any other character or any other team. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Peace out.